Imagine you're stuck in a 3-hour standstill on the 405 in LA. It's 95 degrees, your AC is flickering, and someone just cut you off using the shoulder, nearly taking off your side mirror. Most of us, we're screaming. We're gripping the steering wheel until our knuckles turn white. But then, there's that person. You know the one. The person who, in the middle of a corporate meltdown at a Fortune 500 office or a screaming match at a Thanksgiving dinner in Ohio, remains terrifyingly calm. They don't raise their voice, their pulse doesn't seem to break 60. We call them unflappable. We call them saints. Sometimes we even call them creepy. But what is actually happening inside their brain? Are they enlightened masters of Zen? Or is there something more complex and perhaps more dangerous hidden beneath that placid surface? Today, we're dissecting the unangry. From the neuroscience of the Amygdala Hijack to the high-stakes psychology of heroes like Captain Sully Sullenberger, we're going to find out, is never getting angry a superpower or a survival mechanism? Hey winners, welcome back to Easy Psych. Let me ask you, is your mind working for you or against you? Most people spend their entire lives at the mercy of their emotions, but here we give you the map to master your career, your relationships, and your own head. So if you're ready to take control, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications now. Let's get into it. The 3 types of calm. Before we can understand the why, we have to realize that not all calm is created equal. In American psychology, we generally categorize these people into 3 distinct buckets. 1, the reframers, the high EI group. These are the people with high emotional intelligence. When someone cuts them off in traffic, they don't think, that guy is a jerk trying to disrespect me. They think, maybe his wife is in labor. Or, wow, he's a terrible driver. I should stay back for my own safety. They aren't suppressing anger. They aren't generating it in the first place. 2, the repressors, the nice trap. This is a huge segment of the American population, often rooted in Midwest nice or Southern politeness cultures. These people do feel anger, but their brain has been conditioned to believe that anger is bad, scary, or unproductive. They push it down so fast they don't even realize it's there. 3, the low reactivity group, the biological outliers. Some people are just born with a longer fuse. Their nervous systems are less sensitive to threats. While your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is screaming fire, theirs is merely saying, looks like a candle. The neuroscience of the unflappable. Let's get technical for a second. When you encounter a trigger, let's say your boss in Chicago sends you a passive-aggressive Slack message at 6 p.m. on a Friday, your brain has a choice. In most people, the amygdala triggers a fight-or-flight response. It dumps cortisol and adrenaline into your system. Your heart rate climbs. You want to hit reply all and burn the bridge. But in unangry people, the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, is exceptionally dominant. In a study by the American Psychological Association, researchers found that individuals with high trait evenness have a thicker connection between the PFC and the amygdala. This is like having a high-speed fiber optic cable for logic that can shut down the emotional alarm before it even rings. They have what we call high emotional granularity. Instead of just feeling mad, they can identify, I am feeling a 3 out of 10 level of frustration due to a lack of clear communication. By the time they've labeled it, the anger has lost its power. The Sully effect. On January 15, 2009, Captain Sully Sullenberger had 208 seconds to decide the fate of 155 people. Both engines of his Airbus A320 were dead. He was gliding over one of the most densely populated cities on Earth. If you listen to the cockpit voice recordings, his voice is hauntingly flat. Controller, do you want to try to land on runway 1 at Teterboro? Sully, we can't do it. Controller, which runway would you like? Sully, we're going to be in the Hudson. Sully isn't a robot. He later admitted his heart was racing, but he is the ultimate example of task-oriented regulation. In American high-reliability organizations like the military, ERs, or aviation, anger is viewed as a luxury that costs lives. These professionals train their brains to bypass the anger circuit entirely. When your brain is 100% occupied with, how do I solve this? There is no room left for, why is this happening to me? The dark side, repression, and the body. But let's pivot, because for every Sully Sullenberger, there's a Dave from accounting who hasn't raised his voice in 20 years, yet he has chronic migraines, a stomach ulcer, and a jaw that's perpetually clenched. In the US, we have a multi-billion-dollar self-help industry that often tells us to stay positive, but there is a massive difference between regulating anger and repressing it. Dr. Gabor Mate and other leading psychologists have linked chronic emotional repression to autoimmune issues. When you never get angry, but you're constantly being treated unfairly, your body still registers the threat. If the fight response isn't allowed to go outward, it turns inward. Think of the customer service voice. We've all used it. That high-pitched, polite tone you use when an airline loses your luggage. You're being nice, but your blood pressure is hitting 140/90. People who truly never get angry are rare. Most unangry people are actually just expert suppressors. And in the US, we see this manifest in what we call passive aggression. Instead of saying, "I'm angry you're late," a repressor might say, "Oh, I'm so glad you could finally join us. I'm sure whatever you were doing was way more important than our meeting." It's anger in a tuxedo. The role of privilege and upbringing. We also have to look at how we were raised. In many American households, anger is a forbidden emotion, especially for women or certain marginalized groups. If you grew up in a home where expressing anger resulted in being ignored or punished, your brain learned a survival hack: dissociation. When a conflict starts, these people check out. They feel numb. To an outsider, they look calm. To them, they aren't even there. This isn't peace, it's a freeze response. On the flip side, some people never get angry because they have secure attachment. They grew up believing the world is generally safe. When someone is mean to them, they don't see it as a threat to their identity. They see it as that person having a bad day. The Stoic revival in America. You've probably seen the Stoicism trend blowing up on YouTube and LinkedIn. From Silicon Valley CEOs to pro athletes, everyone is reading Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism teaches that we aren't upset by things, but by our judgment of things. Modern Americans are gravitating toward this because our world feels increasingly out of control. The economy, the political divide, the outrage culture on X, formerly Twitter. The people who never get angry are often those who have adopted a dichotomy of control. They ask, "Can I fix this?" If yes, they act. If no, they decide that getting angry is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. How to tell the difference? So, how do you know if you or your unangry friend are a Zen master or a ticking time bomb? Look for these 3 signs. 1. The physical leak. Does the person have mysterious health issues? Clenched teeth? Shaking hands while they smile? That's repressed anger. 2. The resolution. After a conflict, does the unangry person actually solve the problem, or do they just let it go only for the same problem to happen again and again? 3. The empathy factor. Do they seem cold and detached, or do they seem warm and present? True emotional regulation feels warm. Repression feels cold. Summary and lessons. The psychology of people who never get angry isn't about the absence of emotion. It's about the space between the stimulus and the response. As the psychologist Viktor Frankl famously noted, and as many American therapy offices have on their walls, In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The goal isn't to never feel anger. Anger is a boundary setter. It tells you when something is wrong. The goal is to be like the eye of a hurricane. The world is spinning, the wind is howling, but you, at the center, are clear-eyed and focused. So, here's my question for you. Think about the calmest person you know. After watching this, do you think they're a reframer who has mastered their mind, or are they a repressor who might need a safe place to finally vent? And honestly, which one are you? Drop a comment below and tell me about a time you stayed calm when you probably should have exploded. Was it a choice, or did you just freeze? I read as many comments as I can, and your stories honestly help other people realize they aren't alone in this. If you found this deep dive helpful, hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this to people who might be struggling with their own inner pressure cooker. And if you want to understand more about the hidden psychology of your daily life, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got a massive video coming out next week on the psychology of people-pleasing that you won't want to miss. We're Easy Psych, and thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay calm, but not too calm. See you in the next one.